Thank you. My name's Karen Gardner and I work as an education officer in the Diocese of Wagga Wagga, and I'm the facilitator for the session today that will be run by a colleague of mine from the Bathurst Diocese who's known as Vicky Vance. So Vicky will lead us in the session on an introduction to Google Classroom. So I thought we might start with an acknowledgement and prayer. So I'll just share my screen with you and we might do all of that together. Let's move that one over. And it would help if I was back at the first slide. So we might say the acknowledgement together, please. We acknowledge and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander nations who long before us love and raise their children on this land. We also acknowledge all the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families of the community and acknowledge their physical and spiritual connections to their land. We come together today to learn, to share and to journey together. And our prayer, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We call on God's grace to protect us in this time of uncertainty, to guide us with our learning, to support us as we navigate new things, to shield our loved ones from harm, to comfort those who are lonely, and to be with us in everything that we do. Amen.
Amen.
Today's webinar will be recorded, and once the session has been finalised, that will be uploaded to our website so you can view it later on if you wish to. And this is the link to the evaluation form which we ask you to fill in at the end of the session, and I'll put that in the chat towards the end of the session as well. So thank you, and I'll now pass over to the amazing Vicky Vance.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks for your facilitation today. It's been terrific having a colleague online with me because it gets a little daunting. There were, I think, upwards of 80 people in the first session this morning, so it was like, oh my goodness. So it was very comforting to have Karen there just monitoring the chat and what have you. So today's session is about an introduction really to Google Classroom. It's a basics. It's not an advance. There will be another session 2 o'clock tomorrow, which is getting serious with Google Classroom. And oh, can you hear me?
I can, Vicky, yes.
You can? It just went very quiet all of a sudden. And I thought,
we're listening.
Oh,
no,
good.
I can hear you. We can hear you.
Excellent. That's really good. Now, in the last session I did on Zoom, we had on-screen feedback. So if you are having any issues, please use the non-verbal feedback in the participants panel. So you click on participants and expand that, and raise your hand or do something there that lets us know that there's an issue, or you can use the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. It's a little smiley face and there's a thumbs up or a clap. If you use the clap as a hands up, we'll know that something's going on as we go through. So you should all be able to see my screen, a big green slide. Is that what everybody can see? Can you give me a thumbs up?
Yep.
Yep, terrific.
Vicky, also, just before we start, I'll be monitoring the chat too, so if people have any questions, feel free to put those into the chat session and we'll answer them as we go along.
Terrific. Yes, we will. So we've got those open as well. Okay, I can see Judy and I can see Kerry. I can hear you. Fantastic. That's great feedback for me. When it goes very quiet and you hear nothing sometimes, and you haven't got the camera open, you wonder whether your connection's gone. I'm sure people in the city don't actually see that. Okay, so this is an introduction to Google Classroom. As I said, there is a more serious session at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So if we don't get to the things that you want to know, make sure you join Chris Betcher at 2 o'clock tomorrow to see what he's going to talk about. And he's probably going to go into some rubrics and some of the more advanced features. This session is the basics. We're going to learn how to create a Google Classroom, how to create an announcement, how to make an assignment using a Google Doc and make a copy for each student, understand where to turn notifications on and off, and understand the process of inviting students and teachers to join our classroom that we create. As I said in another session, if you've got the opportunity to have two devices open, you can follow along some of these things. Have the Zoom open on your Mac or on your iPhone or your iPad or something, and then have your laptop as well. You'll be able to follow along. However, this session will be available, the slides will be available, and the recording will be available on the website at the, hopefully within the day. This session will run with me giving you a demonstration to begin with, so I'm not going to expect you to follow along. We'll have some time for some questions, and then we'll do some guided practice. I'll actually take you through step by step in creating classrooms as I put in the learning intentions. We'll talk about some tips, and at the very end we'll have a chance to have a discussion, and you can ask any questions that you want to ask. And whether I know the answer or not is yet to be seen, but I've got other people online, and if we don't know the answer, we'll get back to you with the answer. We're all learning in this world as well. So first of all, in the demonstration, I'm going to show you where to find your classroom, how to create a classroom, how to add students, what the stream and the classwork buttons are, how to create an assignment, where the drive folder is, and notifications. You'll see up the top here, I've got, that takes me straight to my classroom, but I'm actually going to get out of this and show you from my email, because everybody generally knows how to join in from their email. So if I open up my email tab there at the moment, I'll just close that message. We call this the chocolate box in Bathurst. And this is where I take people to go to everything, because it's, everybody knows their email. Our pay slips used to come out via email, so it was one of the first things everybody learnt in Google. And so scrolling down, you'll see an icon, and it's the classroom icon. So if I click on that, it will open a new tab for me, and it will open in Classroom. The other way to get to it is having a look at the address up here. If you're signed into your account and you type in classroom.google.com, that will take you straight to this tab. And as we're looking there, I've got a number of different classrooms that I've created over a period of time, and we're going to go to the lesson library one today. So that's your classroom dashboard. So in looking along the top, what we're looking at is wherever you see these three pancakes, or some people call it the hot dogs, it's the menu. That is something that usually expands out, and that's another quick way to move between classes. And you can see classes, calendar, a to-do list, and a whole heap of Google Classrooms that I can jump between. Moving over into the main part of the screen, this is the title of the classroom. This is the code that if I was inviting students in, and I'll show you a bit more about that in a little while, that we would get them to join up with. This is where I can select my theme, upload a photo of my own classroom if I wanted to. And this is called the stream. You can see up the top here, we've got stream, classwork, people, and marks. This is the stream. This is the communication hub of your classroom, and it's arranged in chronological order with the last post sitting at the top. You can see here, I've had a post on the 19th of April. Before that was the 23rd of February, 2017. You can see how long I've been doing this. And then there was another post back on the 23rd, the last time I was using this classroom. I've got no upcoming work. If I click view all, you'll see out of all the things, it's a quick way to see the assignments that I've handed out. I'm just going to click the back button and go back to this stream. So if I want to make an announcement, This is the space on the screen. I just click on that space. I get again to choose which classroom I want this announcement to go out to. So if I'm say a secondary English teacher, I might have 6 or 7 English classrooms. I can choose from here within this classroom which classroom to make the announcement. I'm going to do it in Lesson Library. If I had a number of students in here, I would be able to select the students that this message goes to. So I might have an extension group, you know, a mid-level group, and a group for students with additional needs. So I'd be able to tailor my message according to my groupings in my classroom. This one doesn't have students in it, so it just automatically shows up all classrooms. I get to welcome to term 2 announcement. If I wanted to, let's say, add a calendar or the assignments that I wanted, I could put a link to something in Google Drive, a hyperlink, so to a website or something, a file that I might upload. Maybe I've got a Word document that I want to attach, and I can link straight to a YouTube clip. I'm not going to put anything in this one. Moving along, I can cancel this. If I cancel it, it just goes away. If I do it again, term 2, welcome. Over next to my post, wherever you see these little triangles, it push for more information and either drops down or explodes up. So in this case, if I'm ready to publish this, it's a post. I click on post and it will go straight into the stream. If it's not something I want to publish until, let's say, term 2, day 1, which would be Monday the 27th, I can select the date and then I can select the time. So I might want to make that 9 AM, day 1, beginning of the day. So I can hit schedule, and you'll see there's a saved announcement sitting there with the number 1. If I click that downward, you can see that it's that announcement and it's scheduled to go out at that date. If I change my mind, I can click on it. I can go in and edit it before it's posted. If I want to get rid of it, I click the bin symbol. So I get rid of it there. So if I get rid of it, delete, it will delete out of the system. So that's my stream. That's my announcement, my communication place. If I just want to talk about something. If I want to assign something, I use something over. Can you change the schedule date after it has been posted? Yes, you can, Margaret, you can. So if I do that again, so term 2, welcome, oops, 2, welcome, and schedule, and we'll save it, schedule. If I, okay, so there it's for tomorrow. If I click on that again, oops, when I clicked on that schedule, can you see up here? That's where I can change the date and time if I want to schedule it for another time. So good question, thank you. Explain draft, okay. If I'm just working on an announcement, so if I, I'll do another one. If I write another one, so this is a draft announcement, and I go to save as draft. Okay, there's my draft, and you see it's not scheduled, it says draft beside it, as opposed to when it's scheduled to go out. If I click on that, I can open and I can now keep editing until I'm ready to schedule or post. And so if I just say, again, save as draft, I've got interrupted or something like that, you can see it sits there. If I click on any of those, it opens up what they are. And that just sits up in the saved announcement tabs on the teacher's stream. The student stream is very different, doesn't have these options. The button over here is a reuse post. And this is really, really valuable. We have all my classrooms listed, and if I wanted to use a post from another class that I've had, and I'm going to talk about this, let's see whether I've got nothing in there. Let's try that one. There we go. So I can take the post that I had and reuse it in this new classroom. So it's taken it from there and it's put it into lesson library classroom. And again, I have all those features. I've got post, schedule, or save as draft. I'm going to post straight away here. And you'll see it shows up down here below the saved announcements tab. When I've got these little 3 dots over here, 3 dots mean more information. I can, even though it's been posted, I can still come back in and edit it. I can delete it altogether, or I can copy a link. I might copy a link to that post if a student comes back to me in a week's time and says, I missed the term 1 work, and you say, here's a link to that post, and you can put it straight into a communication with them. As a rule of thumb, it's always useful in these situations that if you've posted a mass announcement, that you take people back to that announcement and make them reread. We have a dreadful problem in our diocese with people don't go and reread things. They just think it's far easier to email the person, it's faster. But if you get them into the habit of going back and rereading them, you will get them to become more self-sufficient in this self-managed environment, rather than just answering them directly. How do we see the classroom in student view? Okay, I'll take you into, you can't, is the student view is the question, but I'll show you a student version in a minute. Okay, so classwork is where you go to create assignments and pieces of work. And you'll see, so it's in this stream was the one we were just in. We're now in classwork, and this is where we create our activities. So we click create. We've got a few options here. We can create an assignment, which is a graded or an ungraded situation. We can create a quiz assignment. We can create a question. We can just post some material that they might need to read, and then we can reuse post. Topic are these things here. So depending on what level you're teaching, you might have, it might be a unit of work as the topic. So you might be studying ancient Egypt in history. So you might put everything under that topic. If you're in a primary classroom, you might have maths, English, history, geography as topics. It depends on how you want to organise things. I've had other people look at topics as weeks. So they put all of week 1 activity under a topic called week 1. It's up to you how you organise that, but it does help organise things for people. So
Can I just jump in for a sec?
Yes, Karen.
One of the things that I find when I use Google Classroom is that if you can sort of do a little bit of planning before you set up your class, then the topic makes it easier as you're going forward.
Yes.
Because you're not sort of rechanging the topic each week and you're confusing yourself and also confusing the students.
Yes. If you're changing the topic each week, you need to very clearly label it as week 1 or week 2 and put everything under that. You can also archive out of these as well. So I suggest creating an archive topic. And so when things start to look a little bit messy, you can move things to the archive topic so that it still doesn't disappear. You're not deleting it. It just means it tidies things up a little bit, particularly when you're a newbie using these the first time and you're not really sure about the structure, as Karen said. If you know this and you've got it all worked out, that's great. But sometimes we're learning on the fly, and we reflect and we change, which is good learning. So how do you prompt to reread? Ms. or Mr. Forsyth has asked. In email. So you get the link to that post, and if they've emailed you, you email them and say, here's the link to the post, please reread it. So that's how I do it. how I used to do it at university too. When I was tutoring at university, it was quite often to make them say, you'll find the answer in paragraph 2 of this document here. So we're creating an assignment, create assignment. This might be our introduce yourself. This might be a beginning of the year activity. Use the document to introduce yourself privately to me. Tell me what you think I should know about you. So there's the title of it. There's some additional instructions. I'm going to add a Google Drive. Actually, no, I might create it from here. I'm going to create a Google document, a Google Doc. And you can see it's creating one for me there. So it does the hard work for you with Google Drive. So Classroom does a lot of the management. So here's our document. Still waiting for it to load. I'm chewing up it. So this is introduce. And if I do this by creating the document, I'm just going to move my menu bar here so I can go back to, so I called it introduce myself. And over here, I'm going to make a copy for each student. That means every student will get a copy of that introduce yourself document, but it means you've controlled it. It means it's gone into the right folder. It means you've got view rights. So particularly for our younger students who aren't used to working in this environment, it really helps if you're controlling it this way. So I'm going to make a copy for each student. And then over on the side here, I've got a downward pointing triangle. So this is I can assign it now. I can schedule it the same way as I can an announcement. I can save it as a draft, or I could get rid of it. I'm going to assign it in a minute, but I'm going to look here at these. This is the classroom option again. This is the student option again. I can grade this, so you can make it out of 10 points or 100 points. You can decide what you want, or you can make it unmarked. In this case, I would make it unmarked. I can set a due date. So I can go in and say, this is due by the end of Tuesday next week. And I can set a time. I can say it would be 3 p.m. I can put it under topic. I'm going to put it under general. I'm not going to touch those for now. And I'm going to assign this straight away. And we'll see what happens. There we go. There's the general topic. There's the introduce yourself. It took the name off the document. There you go. It updated from the Google document title. And you can see then if I view assignment, it shows me all the students it's been assigned to. And if I had students who had submitted that, it would sort by status. So who has actually, by surname, by first name, by status, handed in. Says there's nothing handed in. How many have been assigned, because there's no students in this account. And here I can then sort by handed in, assigned or returned, or I can go to the folder in my Google Drive. And this is the point, this is the key thing about understanding Google Classroom. It does all the hard work for you. Okay, Karen's just put something in there. How do we see presentation? Yes, so that'll show you the Google student view. Here we go. So in my drive here, there's my lesson, library, classroom collection, and there's my introduce yourself. So if I had given that to a number of students, I'll take you to another classroom in a minute and show you, I would see their versions of that document there for you. How are we going so far? Give me some feedback. Are we okay? Give me some yes ticks or some no ticks in the participation section. Are we keeping up with everybody? I've shown you how to, if I go back to my lesson library, we've shown you how to look at the stream. We've shown you classwork. I'm going to take you to people at the moment. I've got some green ticks from Lynn Ucanna and Leslie. Excellent. I'm not seeing any hands up. Yep, I've got a thumbs up from Judy. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going okay. Can you just show access to that folder again, please? Sure. There's lots of different ways you can view things. So if I go to, back to classwork, I expanded this, view assignment. This is one way of doing it. And then there's the folder icon. I think is that Lynn Forsyth? I think so. So we can see the folder there, and everybody's work would show in that folder. So the instructions are back here. There's the instructions, and student work is where you see all the information about what students have been. Lou Forsyth, terrific. So that's where you would find the folder there, and all the students' work is there. You don't have to organise it, and this is the beauty of Google Classroom. It's doing all that hard work in the background for you. So I'm just going to go back to my classes again. Google Drive indications. Okay, I also want to show you, so if we go marks, no, I'm going to have to change lessons. So I'm going to go to, I think, I'm trying to pick one that I know has got students in it. People. Let's just see. Okay, so there's some people here. This was a simple quiz. I can't show you what they've actually answered, but you can see they've been enrolled in the class, and if I wanted to invite their guardians, I could do so there. I don't think I've done any marks in this one. Oh, there you go. They've handed in, you can see. So these are all the ones that have been handed in at that point in time. So that was in people and marks that I've shown you back there. Yeah.
Vicky, there's a question. How do you stop late work being submitted by students?
Karen, do you know the answer to that?
No, I might just do a Google.
I'm not sure either, Jen.
It'll just be annotated as late when it arrives.
It does come in after the scheduled date. It does say late, but I don't know whether there's any way you can stop it coming in, unless is there any way of closing an assignment? So let's just go. So let's just say here, delete, copy, move down. Does anybody else out there know the answer to that? I'm not sure whether there is any way you can close it off.
Just doing a quick Google search, and it says not at this stage, but it could be a product request in future.
Okay. So, see the little question mark at the bottom left hand of my screen? So if you want that as something, go to that question mark and request a feature. And I know that they use that regularly in Google. If lots of people are requesting a feature, it moves up in the roadmap. So there you go. And you've also got your help community and your help center there as well. And if you haven't been in for a while, you get the what's new symbol. So that little question mark is actually really quite valuable. I want to show you where notifications are before we have a little practice session. And because I've got lots of classes, I need to scroll all the way down to the bottom of that little menu, that little hamburger menu or the hot dog menu, to settings. And when I click on settings, These are my global classroom settings. And this is one of the things I constantly get from people, is that they're bombarded with emails, because every time a student does something, there's a notification gets pinged, and it gets pinged as an email. You can see here, receive email notifications. If you do not want to get email notifications of what's going on in your classroom, and you just want to know when you go into the classroom to have a look, slide that off. Particularly if you're a school executive member and you've been added to a classroom, and we say in Bathurst that that's always a good idea to have a school executive member or a KLA head or somebody like that in as a joint teacher in the classroom. If they don't want to be getting those email notifications, they turn that off. That's a global setting. However, you've got more granular settings underneath that. So in the comments, you can turn on and off all of these things in the classes that you're enrolled in the classes that you teach, okay? So if you're a teacher, you can turn things on or off as you need to. And then if you class notifications, you've got settings by each class. So if you're only teaching lesson library and test April at the moment, and the others you're just a view teacher in, turn all those off and just keep the email notifications on the ones that you're teaching at the moment. See, just then late submission. Tracy, I'm not sure I understand that.
Just see, can you hear me?
Yeah.
See how you were ticking things off? See where it says classes that you teach?
Yep.
Late submissions of student work.
Yep.
So if you turn that off, it means they can't submit it, I would assume.
That's about notifications.
Oh, right.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So
I'll go back to mute.
No, that's good. That's good. It's good that you're noticing what's on there. So that's about an email when a late submission comes in, which you might want to keep on because you're not going in there and perhaps checking. So they're all the ways that you can control what sort of emails come in from your classes. And then underneath they're all turn email and mobile notifications on or off for a class. So that collapses up. So you need to expand that to actually do it by class, and you can determine what emails you get in this section here. So this is all about the notifications side of things. But good point, Tracy. So we've gone through where you find classroom, how to create. I didn't show you how to create a classroom. I just went into one. So back to the dashboard and the big plus symbol. So if I click plus, and if you're a teacher, you get join or create. If you're a student, you only get join. And this is determined the first time you come into classrooms. If you've never been in before, you need to always select teacher, and that will give you the two options. If you select student, you will get only the one, join classroom. So I want to create a class, and I give it a name, test 2. They're just optional information if you're creating lots of classes. I did notice somebody said that in the diocese that they're in that classes are automatically created. We don't have that in Bathurst, but that can be based on your timetable information in your student administration system. So sometimes that is automatically done for you, but if not, that's how you create a class. And you get to come in and see, you can modify the theme. Sorry, there's somebody asking a question and I'm not sure who it is. No, perhaps put it in the chat. The microphone wasn't working very well. Okay, so the theme up there, this is the code. So if I hit that little square, it displays the code. That's the code. If you in the physical classroom with students in front of you and they've all got their Chromebooks open and you want them to join the class, you put this up on your board and that's what they put in to join the class. If that's not big enough, you click the square again and it goes super big. And to get back, you use the little minimize section there and close. So there's the stream we've talked about. There's the classwork, the people. So I'm the teacher, I created this. If I want to add another teacher, I do so here. And I type their email address. So if I want to type, I'm just going to, m.teacher, it's my alternate name that I teach with, and then invite. So Mrs. Teacher now has an invitation that she will need to go and accept to become a teacher in this classroom. If you can see underneath students, I can invite them and give them that code, or I can actually add them. I add the plus people symbol, and if I've got a compass class list, I could just dump that in there and it would send a specific invitation to all the students in that class. And that's how you get people in. Before we go to play, are there any other questions that that you would like to have answered?
Vicky, can you put in multiple emails when you're adding your students, or do you have to do them one by one?
No, you can put in multiple. I'm not sure who that is speaking because I can't quite see you.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Are you a Bassist person?
No,
No?
Armidale.
Okay. I'm not sure what you do, but in Bassist we have class email addresses like groups, Google Groups. So you can use the Google Group address and it would send the invitation out. Or if you just cut and paste, so if I go back to the classroom, you can put multiple in there at a time.
Great.
And you'll see, okay, so if I wanted to teacher again, I'd just go one and then somebody else. Can you see what's happening? It's using my auto directory in Google. Yeah. Or I could just paste them in and it would marry them together.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Where do the students ask questions about the task, and can they be muted if they overuse it or use it inappropriately? Great question, Herbert. They might, so if I'd swap classrooms again and go back to this one. So they would see the stream and they could comment underneath it. And you can, in the settings for this classroom, let's go, no. Karen, help me out here. I've had a temporary brain freeze. Where do we go to moderate their comments? General class, aha, there we go. I was in the right place. So stream, students can post and comment. So if you don't want that, they can only comment, which is underneath your post, or only teachers can post or comment. So fellow teachers. Does that answer your question, Herbert? So that's where you would, and depending on the age of the student and the setting of norms, you may start with only teachers. And then you may progress to students can comment on a post, and once they've got mature and they understand the norms that you're operating in, you might go to students can post and comment. When they're really good self-learners, they start to ask each other questions and they start to answer each other questions, which takes some of that load off you. So you can see classwork on the stream, show condensed notifications, hide notifications, or show attachments and details, and that's just how big that post is. Show deleted items, Guardian summaries. I'm going to show you that in a second. We won't go. Google Meet, if you're using that, you can generate a Meet link. From that, we don't use that in Bathurst. Our video conferencing with students only via Zoom, but that's where you could do that. And then there's the marking calculation. So some of those more advanced features, Chris will be going through in getting serious with Google Classroom tomorrow afternoon. But that was that was the cog setting for the class, and scrolling down is where I found those, what students can and can't do If that class code got out and I needed to change it, I would just display, copy, reset it, or disable it completely, which would mean people couldn't come in via code anymore. So I'll just close that off. What if a student does not answer their emails, does not attempt any work and nothing handed in? What are we to do then? PS, already sent emails to parents. I would be phoning them. If they're not answering you, there's nothing that this system's going to do to change that for you. I think that becomes a welfare issue, and whatever welfare procedures happen in your school, you need to follow. That might be a classroom teacher calling somebody, or a year advisor, or a pastoral care person, making contact with them to see what's going on. There might be very good reasons in what's going on. They might not have an internet device. So yeah, we needed to stop social chatter initially in Google Classroom with our Year 3 students. Yes, Year 3 students, I wouldn't be giving open slather to start with. I would be controlling it, and as they showed more responsibility, I would be opening things up.
Vicky, regarding the previous question too about students not handing in work, I'd let the principal of the school know that as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Particularly as we're learning from home.
Yes. Yeah. What we've, various schools of our schools, because I'm not sure who answered the question, have protocols in place about pastoral care. And I know there have been, some of our schools have got people who are basically on phone roster, and those sorts of issues, they become, it's a student at risk, and that they make contact as quickly as they can. The difference that I feel like it has been a lot, sorry, thanks. I feel like it has been a lost cause. Oh, that's no good. If their teacher is absent, work is set on Classroom, and there is a new student in the class, is there any way for them to access the classroom? That code that I showed you, that code, any student that's given that code can get in, or the teacher can invite them in. If you've got a casual teacher, can quite easily go into the people and invite, if you know who they are, invite them in, and when they're not needed to be there anymore, you can take them out. So if they're only there for, you can email straight from there, or you can take them out as well.
Vicky, there's also another question in the chat about the difference between Google Calendar and Folder.
Ah, yes, okay. So the Google Calendar, each classroom creates its own calendar, which if I go to my calendar now, probably because I've just created one, it will probably appear underneath my, wait for it to load a little bit. So you'll see my calendars there, and there's the test one we just created. That automatically gets added to your calendar, and if you've got assignments in there, those assignments show up on that calendar, as opposed to the Google Drive. That's where the products are. The calendar is actually the time aspect of Google Classroom. Great question. So I was going to take you through creating a classroom. I'm not sure whether that's what you want to do very quickly, or we want to just open up to discussion. If you want me to guide you through creating a classroom, can you hit yes in participation? If not, I'll just go straight to tips.
Vicky, you've got about 5 minutes.
Yes, thanks, Karen. That's what I was very cognizant of. I'm not seeing any yeses, so I'm going to go straight to tips, I think.
Oh, I do.
Oh, sorry. Who was that? I can't see anything there. Oh, I've got one person. Lou. Okay. Lou, to create a lesson, to create a classroom, you ready? First place is to go to your mail and your chocolate box and Classroom. Are you in Classroom?
No, I'm not. I'm just watching your screen.
Okay, all right. So you need to be in classroom to do that. Maybe we can organise some time offline. I'm happy to help you, or maybe some of these things that I'm about to show you will help you, guide you through.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Vicky, I've also, sorry, I've just
Yep.
put in the chat as well, or earlier today, the first day with Google Classroom from the Teacher Centre. So that's got a lot
yes,
of tricks as well.
absolutely. That's one of the resources that's on the last slide, Karen. Great minds think alike. So tips for Google Classroom is, organise your lessons into topics, subjects, weeks, units of work. So think about how you structure, how you want to deliver things. Create a topic called archive and move old stuff into that.
I think I lost it. Did I lose it?
Okay. Create a practice classroom. So just create one and practice around with it, play around with it, get to know what all the things are, get a colleague to come in as a student or a fellow teacher and play. That's really, really important for you to understand what you're doing before you release it to students. Get used to using Google Documents, docs, slides, drawings for assigned templates. Really make use of that, make a copy for each student. You don't then have the hassle of getting access to their work. Understand that link between Google Drive and Classroom. It's doing all the heavy lifting for you. So don't just use it to send notices out, actually use it to, go in and have a look at student works. Once you assign it, you can go into any student's piece of work whenever you like. Hide notifications of assignments in the stream setting if you want to. Know where those notifications settings are at the bottom of remember the pancake menu. Use the to-do list. If you've got lots of assignments coming in, it will push all those together for you. Oh, that's a typo there. Convert your PDFs to Google Slides. Don't use Word docs. You can't collaboratively access them. But if you do it in Google Slides, you can go in and see what they're doing. And Chris will go through this, but start to develop a comment bank and explore rubrics. And that'll be in the advanced session with Chris Betcher tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. The final slide I have there is there's two cheat sheets that step by step, I can't do any better than these, which is why I refer them to you. And they're linked for teachers and for students there. So the person that asked about what students see, get a hold of that for students one. Google Support has got some terrific stuff, and the Education Teacher Centre is day one Google Classroom. It steps you through everything that I've shown you this afternoon. So I'm going to finish off there. The bit.ly for this, if you want to copy this presentation, it will be on the website within the wee while, or in this bit.ly, bit.ly / oops, just pinged off, 2XO capitals, lowercase p, capital U, lowercase f, capital U. You'll get into the presentation there, and those links on that last slide will open up for you, so you can get straight there. I'm going to hand over to you, Karen.
And I'll just unmute myself. Got to remember to do that one. Thank you very much, Vicky, for today's presentation. It was sensational as always. It's always really good when you get to work with colleagues because you learn so much from each other, and we all this time contribute to each other's learning. So thank you very much. Thank you to all that participated. Hope you enjoyed the session, and take care and stay safe, everyone.